Welcome to Penn State Sports Night alongside Alex Blankman. I am Mike Gilbert. Great day of football yesterday. We will get into that in detail later on in the show. Penn State men's hoops taking on Ohio State tonight. Pat Chambers' squad swept the Buckeyes a year ago. Much different Penn State team this season. PSSN reporters Brendan May and Brendan Pfeiffer were at the game against Wisconsin last week. Let's send it out to the Brendans.
On Thursday, the defending national champion Wisconsin Badgers traveled to State College to take on the Nittany Lions. There were a lot of key pieces missing from that championship squad, however. Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker to name a couple. However, the biggest loss may be felt on the sidelines. Longtime coach Bo Ryan officially handed his reins over to Greg Gard in December. Gard, since taking over, has only led the Badgers to a 3-4 record.
The Badgers showed they can still play the same type of physical bully ball hoops that's categorized their team for the past 15 years. Ethan Happ had a game-high 20 points. Wisco's lone remaining real star is Nigel Hayes. The junior showed he's a full package, scoring 10 points in the second half.
The Badgers would hold on to defeat the Nittany Lions by a score of 66-60. From the Bryce Jordan Center, I'm Brendan May.
Thanks, guys. The Nittany Lions wrestling team dominated 8th-ranked Illinois last night on the road to stay unbeaten on the year. Redshirt freshman Jason Nolf from Yatesboro, Pennsylvania, pinned Illinois' #1 wrestler in the second period, sparking Penn State to a 30-15 win. Red Hall should be rocking when Michigan State comes to town on Sunday, which you're going to.
Yeah, Brendan and I will actually be there for that. So if you didn't get enough Brendan in that first package, you're going to get
Very nice.
more next week. The two best teams in the NBA will face off tonight, with the Warriors coming in with only 4 losses on the season and the Spurs coming in with only 6. Last year's most valuable player, Stephen Curry, has simply been lights out this season, averaging 30 points per game with an average of nearly 5 threes per game. The MVP is coming off a triple-double against the Pacers and will continue to shoot the lights out against the Spurs and arguably the NBA's best defender, Kawhi Leonard. Just how dominant have these teams been? They combined for a 44-0 record at home and look to continue to prove their dominance over the rest of the league. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the top of the East, have become the greatest team to ever fire their head coach mid-season. With a record of 30-11 and a trip to the NBA Finals last year under their belt in David Blatt's first season, it was a major shock to the NBA world to see Blatt get fired. Many speculated that it was LeBron James' doing, but according to James, he found out like every other player on the team. The firing came off the heels of a 132-98 loss to the NBA's defending champions, Golden State Warriors. The Cavs have named assistant coach Tyronn Lue as their next head coach.
Had to be LeBron.
It had to be.
No question that
but
was LeBron.
They wouldn't let everyone know that. They wouldn't let the world know that.
Well,
but of course, it's LeBron James doing. It's known that he's wanted a player coach for a while, so Tyronn Lue, former player, LeBron James shadily, actually, the coach.
Penn State women's hockey is struggling so far this season. For more in-depth analysis, we send it out to Pagula, where Penn State Sports Night reporter Anna Petingolo was right behind the glass.
On Saturday, the Penn State women's ice hockey team took on the Robert Morris Colonials in the second game of a 2-game series. On Friday, the Lady Lions knocked off the Colonials 3-2 in an overtime victory. They take them on again today in Pagula Ice Arena. After scoring 2 goals on Friday night, senior Hannah Brand picked up right where she left off, scoring for Penn State just 3 minutes into the game. Robert Morris didn't trail for long and tied the game with 2:16 left in the period off Ashley Vesey's 9th goal of the season. The Nittany Lions retook the lead halfway through the third period thanks to a goal by Peterson, but Robert Morris tied it back up off a goal from Ricky Mueller with just 33 seconds left in the game and set the game to overtime for the second straight night. Robert Morris outshot the Nittany Lions 4-1 in the overtime period, but neither team was able to find the back of the net, ending the game in a 2-2 tie. With the tie, the Nittany Lions pushed their conference record to 2-4-5. They're back in action on Friday against RIT at Pagula Ice Arena. For PSN, I'm Anna Petingolo.
Thank you, Anna. College hoops in full swing, which begs the question, what is going on in the ACC? Duke, losers of 3 of their last 4 games, finally got a win after losing 3 straight at NC State. They're currently 24th in the country, but this is a young team Coach K has this season. They hit the road tonight to face the 15th-ranked Miami Hurricanes. Meanwhile, Syracuse continues to struggle after losing to Virginia last night. They're racking up losses, 8 total, including a 3-5 record in conference play. Safe to say there's, on the outside looking in, a lot of basketball left to be played, a lot of chances for the Orange to rebound as they play 3 more ranked teams, including at number 2, UNC. Big 12 knocking each other around as well after Oklahoma lost to Iowa State. Interestingly enough, the Sooners remain the number 1 team in the land despite the loss to Iowa State in the news polls. How do you explain that, Alex?
It's just one of those seasons that's just not going their way.
Parody.
Yeah.
Parody in college basketball. Love to see it.
Irony, almost.
You could say that too.
The Nittany Lions men's volleyball team took down IPFW over the weekend. The team is now 4-2 and ranked 10th in the country. PSSN reporter Steve Conley was at the match.
I'm here at Rec Hall, where the Penn State men's volleyball team is getting set to take on the IPFW Mastodons. Coming off back-to-back wins against ranked opponents, the 10th-ranked Nittany Lions are looking to keep the winning streak alive.
The opening set was a back-and-forth battle between the Mastodons and the Nittany Lions. IPFW got off to a fast start, shutting down Penn State's attack. Penn State fought back as the set continued and looked to have pulled away with multiple set points, but a couple big serves set IPFW up with a chance to go up 1-0. Penn State managed to come through late and take the first set 28-26. The Nittany Lions found their groove in the next 2 sets. Spectacular net play from Chris Nugent, who led Penn State on the day with 17 kills, and a number of digs from Taylor Hammonds propelled the Nittany Lions forward as they stormed through to take the second set 25-17. Penn State breezed through the third set as well with a 25-15 scoreline to wrap up the weekend with a 3-0 win. Penn State men's volleyball will be back in action next Saturday as the Nittany Lions take on St. Francis on the road.
Thanks, Steve. Rob Breck will be joining us shortly to discuss all things NFL playoffs. Will give us his Super Bowl prediction. But elsewhere around the league, the Eagles signed tight end Zach Ertz to a 5-year, $42.5 million deal. Jordan Reed, Travis Kelce probably licking their chops. Meanwhile, in Jerry World, Tony Romo will undergo surgery on that collarbone that keeps breaking. He'll be 100% for camp, likely will not participate in the Cowboys' offseason program. We'll be right back to talk about yesterday's crazy championship games right after this. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. Joining me to my left, Rob Breck and Alex Blankman, and Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the Jets to their first Super Bowl since 1968.
Dude, you woke up after that, remember?
That's not real. That's
not real.
That's
it didn't
actually
happen.
not what happened.
Word.
But New England did lose to Denver 20-18. Guys, that pass rush from Denver, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, really hurt Brady all game.
Well, I mean, the stat which everybody's talking about today is that Tom Brady was hit 20 times yesterday and only once versus the Chiefs. I mean, clearly his game was disrupted. He had an under 25 QBR. The man couldn't do pretty much anything. I mean, and that is the formula to beating the Patriots. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, he had a lot of issues moving the ball, and that's just something that comes with playing the Broncos defense. And everyone really looks at the Broncos and say if they can put pressure on Brady, and every time someone plays the Patriots, they say if they can put pressure on Brady, that's the only way to really beat him. Or as Ed Reed would say, pray. And I guess the Broncos did a little of both on Sunday.
Well, one thing that stood out to me was that the pass rush was continuing throughout the fourth quarter. And for Tom Brady to scramble out of the pocket like that and find Gronkowski in the back of the end zone to potentially tie it was miraculous, just because he's been under duress for so long. But so the other game last night, clearly a blowout. Carolina ran away with that. Jeezy and who else was on the field? Cam Newton. Doesn't matter. What did you guys think about that blowout game? Did you guys think that Carson had 6 turnovers? Is it his fault entirely?
Not entirely, I wouldn't say, but because the Panthers really were disruptive. They showed why they're the league's leading takeaway team on defense this season. That's the number one thing that I got from this. 6 turnovers is a lot. That finger was definitely bothering Palmer here at week 16, but he kept throwing the ball high. It's not like he was inaccurate in any other way.
And this could be coach speak, but he said the finger was not an issue.
I think that's more of a coach's just like kind of defending his quarterback and saying that he was ready to go. But I think the Panthers really made a statement win here, as they've made 15 other statement wins this season, or 16, I guess. But they look good. Cam looks good, and they're creating turnovers, and that's what that defense is meant to do.
I mean, I don't think you can put this all on Carson Palmer. In big games like this, you look to your team leaders. Larry Fitzgerald, a guy who has less than 25 drops in his career, 2 crucial drops, one of them on third down. And then how about Peterson? At the end of the half, the Cardinals are gaining momentum, stop the Panthers, fumbles the punt, and then gets burned for a touchdown. This was a complete team loss. This was not just Carson Palmer, though he played a huge part of it. But if you look at Bruce Arians' entire squad, this team didn't look prepared on Sunday.
This team is a team that was missing the speed that Tyrann Mathieu brought to the table because you guys saw that end around that Ginn ran, the double end around.
Yeah.
For them to not make that tackle, that's key. You had the Kuechly pick six. That defense was just ready to play.
And Mathieu, the top Pro Football Focus slot cornerback this year.
Right, that's a big loss.
You can't miss that. And that would mean he's in the middle, and on the double end around that you're talking about right now, you get Ginn.
So, unfortunately, we have to suffer through the Pro Bowl this weekend. The weekend after, Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara. Predictions, Alex, we'll start with you.
I'm going to take the Broncos because my number one reason has to be everyone's taking the Panthers. I think a lot of people are counting the Broncos out, and I really just don't think they should count the Broncos
Alex,
out.
formulate your own opinions, my friend.
Okay. My own opinion would be the Broncos because I'm looking back to the Broncos-Seahawks Super Bowl a couple of years ago when the Seahawks blew out.
The Broncos got tossed.
Exactly. But the Broncos in this case are the team with the worst quarterback but the number one defense in football, and that's what Seattle was. They were the team. No one really said
Wilson was a much better quarterback than Peyton Manning.
I'm not saying he wasn't, but Peyton's leadership skills and experience have to factor in somehow here. And you are talking about the number one defense in football. Just look what they did to Tom Brady versus what other teams have been able to do. Like you said, 20 hits on Brady versus 1 by the Chiefs on Brady. That's a 19 sack or hit difference. And I think that's going to matter in the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Broncos in a more low-scoring affair just because I think when it comes down to it, they're going to be able to stop Cam Newton.
Well, I'm going to go with the Panthers. And for the reasons that Alex said, I'll read them out for you. 10 Pro Bowlers. This team that pressured Tom Brady and the Patriots, they were able to do that because the Pats were one-dimensional. Tom Brady was the leading rusher with 13 yards, all right? The Panthers were second in the league in rushing. Luke Kuechly, best middle linebacker in football, only player to ever have 2 interceptions returned in back-to-back games. This is the best team in football. They're 15-1, and let's face it, on the Broncos side, Demaryius Thomas is not what he used to be.
No.
The threat is Emmanuel Sanders. The guy's averaging 15 yards, and I think Josh Norman has that. I think with
Norman won't guard the slot. That's the only thing and Sanders in the slot.
Dude, I'm telling you, you look at the Broncos, Gronk 150 yards. The Panthers have more weapons than the Patriots do. Greg Olsen is going to be able to...
I don't know about
and
that.
And the major weapon, guys, is the main difference between the AFC title game and what will be in the Super Bowl is the mobility of Cam Newton. Because Tom Brady, not mobile in the pocket, did have that one first down rush, but
yeah, but
not
so did
mobile
Peyton
in the pocket.
Manning.
It is very hard to bring down Cam Newton. 6'6", 260. He's a big dude, and for them they can still have the pass rush, but he's much better at getting out of the pocket, looking down the field. Not that Tom Brady can't look down the field and find an open guy, but Cam Newton's much harder to bring down, quicker feet. I think that helps them. I think the Panthers win it in a tight game.
I agree. I mean, it's the league's MVP we're talking about here. And one thing which I think people are going to start talking about is that this game is going to define Peyton Manning's legacy. There is a huge difference between going 2-2 in Super Bowls and 1-3.
Yeah, Peyton Manning has to go into this game thinking that it's more of a team effort than Peyton Manning being Peyton Manning for one last game. Because he clearly has something left in the tank. I don't know how much, but I think this defense plays well enough. They shut down Greg Olsen because the receivers, they're more speed threats than guys that are regularly getting open. So other than Greg Olsen, if they can focus on him, I think that's a game changer, and I think that's what wins it for the Broncos.
So Peyton Manning, one more game left to savor in what has been a historically incredible career. But we will be right back with some NBA All-Star news. My boy Zaza Pachulia just missing the cut. Ryan Birdie will be on that coming up next.
Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Robert Breck, alongside Mike Marcantoniti, Brendan Fire, and Ryan Birdie. We're talking NBA. The votes are in, and so is Kobe Bryant. Starting for the West. Guys, your thoughts?
Okay, so this is Kobe's 18th All-Star game. He's obviously a first-ballot Hall of Famer, but watching him this year has been a disgrace to the National Basketball League. The Lakers are atrocious to watch. What you need to do, you got to take the 12 slots that are available for All-Star selection, increase it to 15, because you're going to see guys get snubbed when they come out with the reserves. Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins are both more deserving than Kobe.
I mean, I get what you're saying here, but think about it. This is Kobe's farewell tour. Obviously, everything you said is true. His season has been atrocious. I mean, 15.8 points per game, not anywhere near his career high for a season, and he's doing it on only 39.8% from the field. So I get everything you're saying, but this is his farewell tour. You can't have a farewell tour without him in his final All-Star game. You got to send him to his final All-Star game, and he's got to start because, look, take the court for the first few minutes of the game. He doesn't need to play more than 5 minutes, but just get him out there to start the game. Have the fans can give him one last ovation to start an All-Star game. Just throw him out there. You got to end the farewell tour right, and it starts with him being the All-Star game, and then the rest of the season we'll see how it goes.
Well, a few years ago when Kobe Bryant was actually injured, he actually told fans not to vote for him to be in the All-Star game. He got in anyway, but I think the fans should have took that advice this year because he's just been absolutely awful on the court. He's 141st in efficiency, 35% from the field, and 25 from three-point range. I mean, this is a guy who has 5 NBA titles, 18 All-Star games, 4 All-Star game MVPs. He already has a farewell tour going. I don't think he really needs this either, and just proves how much of a joke this All-Star game is.
All right, some strong words there. Now, looking towards the second half, there's some major storylines going on, none bigger than the Warriors' pursuit of the 96 Bulls' 72-win season. Guys, what do you think of their chances? Do you think they can make it?
Well, it's really all going to depend on their health. As soon as the All-Star game's over, they go on a 7-game road trip. They still have 3 games against OKC, who's playing very good basketball right now, and another game against San Antonio. But if they can stay healthy, and if they play their starters instead of resting them at the end of the year, I think they got a shot at it.
Well, I mean, they absolutely have a shot, and if there's going to be a team that's going to do it, it's going to be this team because of the way they shoot the ball, how deep they go, the way that they're so athletic and they can stretch the floor with that small lineup. But I just don't see it happening. One, like you said, Brendan, with that tough schedule coming up, I mean, it's just that grind of the second half season. They have a tougher schedule than what they did in the first half. And, I mean, while I would love to see it and while it would be great for the game of basketball, I don't think it happens. I think they come up just short, but nonetheless, I think they do end the season on a strong note.
Well, the Warriors right now, they are playing like the best team in the NBA, but by the end of the season, I feel like it's going to be the Spurs that end up emerging as possibly the number 1 seed. They have just as good of a bench, if not better, as the Warriors, and they've got just players that can pass the ball and really get some very good looks at the basket, great defense as well, and they're a team that always runs into the playoffs, so I feel like the Spurs are going to eventually be the team to beat in the West, but only time will tell.
Okay, we talked about the best team in the West. The best team in the East, the Cavaliers, just fired coach David Blatt. Who, if any, do you see giving them competition in the playoffs?
Oh, no, absolutely nobody out of the East. They're going straight to the finals, and there's nobody that's going to give them competition. You look at teams like Toronto and Chicago. Yes, they're good. They're playing good basketball, but they're just not on that top-tier level as Cleveland. LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, 3 perennial All-Stars. No other team up can match up with that.
Yeah, and when you look at this Cavs team, I mean, there's no reason to believe that they won't head back to their second straight NBA Finals. And while they're leading the East with the best record in the East, there's a little bit of dysfunction there. Firing the head coach. What's up with the whole Kevin Love situation? Can Kyrie really help carry that team with LeBron? But nonetheless, I don't see anyone stopping them in the East. However, I do see the Toronto Raptors being a solid, competitor for them down the stretch. I think the Raptors emerged at the end of the season as maybe the 2 or 3 seed. I like the way Kyle Lowry's playing. His first All-Star starting selection, 20.7 points per game, 6.4 assists per game. He's really turning into, a franchise point guard, and I think he's going to help lead the Raptors into, Eastern Conference Finals contention. And I think while they may not win it, they at least challenge the Cavs.
As much as I want to disagree with you guys, I have to agree that the Cavs are the team to beat in the East, but don't sleep on teams like the Raptors, you said, or even teams like the Bulls, who
right.
We've seen the emergence of Jimmy Butler, who he's an outstanding player, possibly the best defender at his position in the NBA, and he's putting up 22.5 points per game. And then also, you do have the Heat, where they can be kind of sneaky, where they have Dwayne Wade, they have Bosh, and they have Hassan Whiteside, and some other players that could really prove to be efficient in the playoffs. So I feel like the Heat could end up possibly doing something against the Cavs as well.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your input. That's all for Penn State Sports Night. From all the producers, good night and good luck.